So a lot of people know how much I love 2001: Space Odyssey. So I got all of these emails asking like, "Hey, bro, do you know what's up with the monoliths in like the middle of the desert or whatever it was?" I haven't been actually paying attention. I apologize. But you kind of mentioned offline that this was kind of cool and interesting. What do you make of these monoliths? And in general, are you a fan of 2001: Space Odyssey, where monoliths showed up? Do you have any thoughts about either the science fiction, the mythology of it, or the reality of it?
Yes. Okay.
No, okay. And please say more.
Right. So, first of all, Kubrick's films are not ever easy for me because they're so weird, right? And I don't actually enjoy watching them. But
It's
that
work.
doesn't it doesn't take away from their incredible brilliance though and their visionary merit. So, a 2001: Space Odyssey is incredibly visionary, and of course, all those things that people say. I don't have to restate them. In terms of it's a subtext to my book, by the way. I didn't mean it to be, but it's almost a character in my book, 2001: A Space Odyssey. And when the monoliths started to appear again, everything went crazy with my everything, internet, social media, phone. What's up? What's going on? Right? Is this disclosure? And I thought, well, I'll tell you one thing is let's look at the timing of it. It's if it's an art, and then copy art and things like that. It's actually happening at a really interesting time when all of us are forced to go online. When all of us are forced because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
We're completely now invaded by the screen, or we're invading the screen. Like our infrastructure now is completely changed. So the monolith, basically, if art is supposed to like show us life, it certainly has. If that's an art project, somebody did an awesome job with it. But apparently that monolith was there for a long time, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's been there for a couple of years. So they said, okay, all right. That said, if your audience is interested, I think the best theory about the meaning of the monolith is Robert Ager or Robert Ayer. I think it's Robert Ager. He's got a website where he does analyses of films, and it's called collative learning. And he does the meaning of the monolith. Everyone should go look at that because I fully agree with him. When I studied different meanings of the monolith in 2001: A Space Odyssey, I was fascinated. Okay, so what is this about? I accepted as soon as I listened to it, and watched it. So basically, he says that the monolith is okay. Can you pick up your phone here? What does that look like?
It looks awfully a lot like a monolith.
Yeah. Okay, so basically that's what he was saying, was that Kubrick was basically, the monolith was technology, or the screen in particular. And he basically was saying that the cinema screen, we were being, completely, and if you think about it, look at all this, we live in a screen culture. We have computer screens, iPhone screens, or, phone screens. We have TV screens. Everything is and now that COVID has come, we're forced to go into these screens, and we're forced to live a different material existence than we have lived before. So in my sense, I think that if it's an art project, it's a really good one for that.
So I like that that meaning of it. It's a screen, and the screen could take all kinds of forms. I mean, our perception system, in a sense, is a screen between reality and our mind. The screen of the computer is a screen. The virtual reality worlds that we might be one day living in, there will be an interface. I mean, ultimately, it's about the interface. That's interesting. It's an interface to another world of ideas.
It's also material change. It's a change in our material. I mean, when people talk about augmented reality, I say we already live in augmented reality.
Yeah.
Don't we? Because this isn't our grandparents' existence.
Yeah, like I sometimes, you have to pause and remind yourself how weirdly different this reality is than just even 30 years ago. The internet changed so much, and social media has changed so much about actually just the space of our thinking. Wikipedia changed so much about the offloading of our knowledge the way we
Hmm.
interact with knowledge. I mean, it offloaded our long-term memory about facts onto a digital format. So in the sense, it expanded our mind. It's kind of interesting. I'd be curious to see if he has just one interpretation. I wonder if
I've
there's
corresponded
others.
with him, yes. So over the years, he and I have corresponded. And I told him, I said, look, I'm going to be using this in my book, so I think you should read what I say. And he of course wanted to see it. So
What do you think about your book? Did you get a chance to read it?
yeah, oh yeah. So he is a non-believer in alien intelligence and UFOs, but and that's fine, but I still agree with him that the meaning of the monolith was the screen, but that doesn't mean the screen isn't like what David Bowie said, right? So it's not exclusive. So I could still use his theory, but differ from the conclusions.
In terms of non-believer and believer, there's when you say believer, you also are kind of implying this the idea that aliens have visited or had made direct contact with humans in some form. There's also the exploration and the idea of just alien intelligences out there in the universe.
Yeah.
You know, the Drake equation estimating how many intelligent civilizations may be out there, how many have ever existed, how many are able to communicate with us. I mean, when you just zoom out from our own little selfish perspective of Earth and look at the entirety, let's say the Milky Way galaxy, but maybe even the universe, does the idea that there are intelligent civilizations out there something that you're excited about or something that you're terrified about?
That's a good question. So basically, I would say I'm not so keen on it. I think that our relationship with technology, as it is and as I hope it will help us survive. Okay, I don't think we're equipped to do it as we stand now, but I think that if we can up our game, or let's just put it this way, if technology is an extension of ourselves, which it actually is, it will help us because it'll probably be smarter than us, okay? It'll help us survive in the ways in which it determines best, okay?
Yeah.
That said, if there are non-human intelligences out there and they have more advanced, obviously technologies than us, and they actually come, the history of human engagement with, other cultures has not gone well for cultures that are less aggressive. So you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a good idea.
Well, I wonder where we stand where humans stand in the full spectrum of aggression.
Well, heck, where are we now, Lex? I mean, we're not too great here. We're still aggressing against each other.
No, I know, but that will give us a benefit, right? Like, oh, you're saying, I thought, okay, I see. I just have a sense that there may be a lot of intelligences out there that are less aggressive because they've evolved past it.
We can't assume that.
No, I know we can't assume that, but like,
if we can't assume it, then I'm going to assume the worst.
well, that's despite the fact that I'm Russian and think that life is suffering, I tend to assume, not the best, but I tend to assume that there is a best core to creatures, to people and to creatures that ultimately wins out. I think there's an evolutionary advantage to being good to other living creatures. And so ultimately, I think that if there's intelligent civilizations out there that prosper sufficiently to be able to travel across the great spans of space, that they've evolved past silly aggression, that it's more likely in my mind to be deeply cooperative. So like growth over destruction. Like growth does not require destruction, I think. But if you see the universe as ultimately a place where it's highly constrained in resources that are necessary for traveling across space and time, then perhaps aggression is necessary in order to aggress against others that are desiring to get access to those resources. I don't know. I tend to try to be optimistic on that front.
I think I'm emotionally optimistic and intellectually non-optimistic.
Yeah, I guess I'm there with you. I tend to believe that the happiness and deep fulfillment in life is found in that emotional place. The intellectual place is really useful for building cool new technologies and ideas and so on, but happiness is in the emotional place, and there it pays off to be optimistic, I think.